Claires, I believe that we're multi-Claires. We can use all aspects of our being and how we receive guidance. The cat, as normal, come to say hello. So next year, what I'm going to do with the Inner Sanctum is make the guest teachers, the live guest teacher Zoom meetings open to the public, open to everybody. You don't have to join the group. You don't have to necessarily pay. I am asking for donation only. When I say only, I'm asking for donations, and I will share that with my guests for administrating the groups and organizing the guest teachers and putting it out there and all that sort of thing. So next year, once a month, or sometimes maybe twice a month. Usually I do them on a Sunday morning here, which is a Saturday afternoon in the States. But I might mix that up a bit next year, depending on people's schedules. I'll be a bit more flexible when that is. And you can all join and meet my guest teachers rather than just listening to them on the shows, just watching people share their stories. What I do with the shows is I put people on my shows to share their story and their wisdom. But I really like to explore people's awakening journeys or their life journeys. And so you get to really meet the person I'm talking to. You get to hear their story, you get to hear why they do what they do, who they are, and what they teach. And that's what the shows are about. But the Inner Sanctum is where we dive deeper into their knowledge and their wisdom, and my knowledge and my wisdom, and in a group setting where we can ask questions and really discover more about what we're teaching and how to expand consciousness and how to tap into whatever knowledge or wisdom we want to tap into. So again, I'm going to open that up to the public next year, starting off with, I've booked in probably about half a dozen people for next year already, who I think, Geraldine Orozco is going to be our first guest teacher in the Inner Sanctum. Geraldine is just so amazing, honestly. She blows my mind, that woman. She has so much knowledge, so many experiences. If you want to know more about Geraldine, some of you already know about her, but if you want to know more about Geraldine, go to the show I did with her this year. I've done quite a few things with Geraldine this year. We co-hosted the Higher Self Expo together, and I had her on my show, and she's doing live teachings every week on her YouTube and Facebook as well. But she's just, she blows my mind. She's higher intelligence, higher consciousness being here on this planet. She's amazing. And like me, my phone's ringing. Like me, she's doing many things. She's got her higher healing platform where she's also showcasing healers and energy healers and light workers and teachers. And she's a part of the Wish Alliance, like I am, which is an ambassador for the Wish Alliance, which is, helping walk-ins, indigos, starseeds, and hybrids. She's a hybrid mother. Anyway, she's amazing. So Geraldine's our first cab off the rank next year. And who else have I got booked in for February? Oh, Stephen Simon. Oh, Stephen has become a bit of a dear friend. I just love Stephen. So I had him on the show this year showcasing his new book. He has been instrumental in conscious media, putting out movies, What Dreams May Come, and he's done many movies that have been quite renowned. He did the Indigo movie, which I love, with Neil Donald Walsh starring in it, actually. Neil Donald Walsh, when I say starring it, acting in it, talking about the Indigo children. It's a beautiful little movie. It's about 20 years old now. And then he produced the movie of Neil Donald Walsh, a snippet of Neil Donald Walsh's life. Neil Donald Walsh obviously is the channel and author of the Conversation with God books. I think there's probably over a dozen of them now. But the trilogy, the first 3 books were the 3 that I read. Actually, I read a few others. Anyway, and he made the movie Conversation with God, the movie. But his wife, his beloved soulmate and partner, transitioned about 3.5 years ago. And Stephen and I discussed how he had spoke about death and afterlife communication so many times in his movies. And now he's experiencing it firsthand. And he and his wife, Lauren, wrote What Dreams Have Come, his latest book, and loving through the veil, having that love relationship through the veil. Anyway, so Stephen's going to come and be another guest teacher in February. So if you'd like to meet Stephen and hear his story and ask him questions, thing about Stephen is all these people are so multi-dimensional, multi-layered, because Stephen not only is experiencing this communication with Lauren through the veil and having that loving relationship still continue, although not physical, which I think he really misses, like a lot of people do, but still very emotional, intellectual, intelligent communication. He is a wealth of information about the movie industry, and especially getting conscious movies up and running, because he ran the Spiritual Cinema Circle for 16 years, showcasing uplifting and spiritual conscious movies, and speaking to all the directors and producers and writers of those movies. And yeah, so he finished that in 2020. It used to be a DVD. I used to buy the DVDs and get the physical DVDs in the mail. And I used to say to them when streaming started, when are you going to start streaming? And they didn't for a while. But then all these other streaming platforms started happening. So I let go of the Spiritual Cinema Circle, like receiving the DVDs, and thought they'll catch up one day. And I think they did. But then he let it go in 2020. And now he's busy, talking about what's happening in his book and helping people deal with grief. He knows about grief. He said to me privately that he had, it took him about 3 years to really start to come out of his deep grief of Lauren leaving, even though he, leaving her body, had this open communication with her. But just that transitioning from going from that physical relationship to this spiritual relationship. And as many people have said who have done that, Esther and Jerry Hicks, for instance, moved from that physical relationship where you're two physically focused beings to one physically focused, one spiritually focused being or consciousness, that there's more intimacy in that relationship than in the physical one. Anyway, it's really interesting. So Stephen's coming up in February. Who have I got coming up in March? Anyway, I should have organized that. I've got a slew of people coming up. So if you'd like to join us online, please go to my website, karenswain.com or karenswain.com/inner sanctum and sign up, and you'll receive emails with the links so that you can join us on Zoom. And I'll also do them live like I'm doing now. So you can also join us live and just put your comments or your questions in the comments. At the moment, who have got listening to this? I can't see any comments coming in. I'm just using Zoom at the moment, going live on YouTube. I'll probably use a different platform for the Inner Sanctum, like StreamYard or other platforms, so I can see the comments as I'm talking, because at the moment I can't see any comments. So I've got 5 likes. There are 10 people watching, 10 of you watching. Hello, who's ever watching? Anyway, I've got to get this streaming thing sorted out. I know how to do it on StreamYard, but I just went on live on Zoom today. But there's another app I can do that I'm going to use. I've got to work it out to use Zoom on Facebook and YouTube, and that's probably what I'll do next year. So that I just wanted to let you know. I'll probably let you know a few other times. If you've signed up to my newsletter, I'll announce it in the newsletter as well. And then the courses I'm going to run will be Deliberate Creation 101, how we create our own reality. And then I'll do an advanced deliberate creation, because there's a lot more to the story. I did a talk the other night in someone's house, Deliberate Creation 101, to a group of people that aren't necessarily really spiritual, some very much, some just kind of opening up to consciousness conversation. And I wanted to talk about things that I didn't think they'd understand, but I said to them, I'm going to go there. Are you ready? Are you ready for the woo-woo? Are you ready for me to speak about that stuff? And they all said, yes. So I started talking about the galactics and stuff like that, and they all lapped it up. I'm amazed at what's happening in the world. Oh, it just makes me want to cry, really. 30 years ago when I was having these conversations, people were like, what, are you mad? You're crazy. But now I can sort of open up to a group of people that aren't necessarily identified as spiritual, and they get it. They get what I'm talking about. So consciousness is expanding and raising. And even if people haven't had a spiritual awakening, like, we think we should have, like a Kundalini awakening or a near-death experience, they're still marinating in this conversation that we're all having, right? It's still out there in the collective unified field, and they're getting the benefit of it. So when you come to them with concepts that maybe their normal mainstream human mind doesn't necessarily think about or talk about, there seems to be an absolute understanding, which is very exciting. I find very exciting. So yes, I'm going to do deliberate creation courses next year, focusing on how we are the creators of our reality, advanced developing your intuitive and psychic abilities, and developing channeling, how to step out into channeling. I'm going to do another course, stepping out as a new world teacher. And this will be a more practical course for people that really want to now present what they have come to remember about who they are as infinite intelligence and an extension of the source, and people that are collecting to their multidimensional aspects, and now they're channeling exalted wisdom. It's all very well to do that, but now that you've got all this information streaming through you, how do you put yourself out there so that people can listen? So I'm actually doing that with people all the time. The show is a part of that. You know, by showcasing people on the show, I'm helping them get their message out there. But I've got a lot of practical tips, which I'm going to put into a course next year. And deprogramming your negative self-talk and collective programming is also another course that I'll be doing. How do you overcome, integrate, shut down that criticism, that negative self-talk, that negative talk, judgment, resentment, fear, because we all have it. If we are human, we all have it. And how do you integrate it and transmute it and heal it and deprogram the DNA collective karma that you've taken on? A lot of light weavers, star seeds, hybrids, walk-ins, whatever you want to identify yourself as, come into this world, and they say from their soul or their spirit's perspective, their higher self's perspective, you know, give it to me, take it on. I'm going to take it on because I'm going to transmute it and integrate it into my being. And so doing, I will heal the collective. But then they come into this world as sensitive, intuitive souls, and they're receiving all this negative self-talk and criticism and hate and fear and stuff like that. And they kind of completely freak out. Completely freak out. So I'm going to help you with that. If that's you, I can help you with that, because that was me. That was so me. I came into a family that was so fraught with trauma. People beating each other up, beating me up, hating each other. Oh my God, I can't tell you. I should really write a book. It's like a comedy. Honestly, it's like a comedy. The story of my family. Just as kids, I had two brothers from my mother. I've got plenty of other siblings from other mothers, but Dad was married 3 times. And but the 3 of us used to constantly beat each other up and fight the whole time. I remember poor mum, before she died, because she died at 50, used to say, what did I do to deserve such terrible children? Other people's children aren't like you. Because we used to just like bash each other up. So we just fought and fought and fought. But really what we were doing was we were taking on that energy that was being displayed in our parents, because our parents did the same thing. And we were just displaying that hate energy, that you know, that same energy. That's what children do. They just copy you. Anyway, so that's next year. I hope you can join me, and I'll let you know about this a bit more. Just thought I'd come on and do a live Zoom, 7 watching now, to let you know what's happening next year. So if you want to join us online for the Inner Sanctum sessions once or maybe twice a month, just sign up on my website. I'll put the link in the comments actually, where you can sign up, and you'll get emails letting you know who's coming on and the Zoom link to join us. And as I said, I'll do them live. So if oh, my light just went out. If you don't sign up, you can also watch live. But if you want to be participant and meet them personally on Zoom and be able to ask your questions, you need to sign up to do that. All right. Thanks for listening and watching. I've got a couple more people to edit, to upload for the show for this year. And then I'm over and out for this year. I'm going to have 2 weeks off, and I'm coming back big in force mid-January, and with lots of amazing. I've booked people out till the end of March already for the show, and probably to mid-year already with the Inner Sanctum guests. So there's lots happening next year. Busy year 2022. Here we come. It is going to be a very transformative year, another challenging year for many who don't understand what we're going through, like people in the mainstream collective that just want to get back to life as normal. We're never going back to life as normal. There are huge systems that are going to collapse and new systems emerging. It's very exciting what's happening next year, but it will be a hugely transformative next year. 2022. And for those of you who know that you're here to make a difference, but you don't actually know how, I think next year will reveal how, in that you will bump up against what's happening, and then you'll want to answer the call, like, why aren't people helping in this way? And when you ask that question, why aren't people helping in this way, that is your what's the word I'm looking for? Activation, that's how you're supposed to be helping this world. Why aren't people helping? Well, that's up to you to help in that way. So many of you will know why, exactly how you're being called to make a difference in this world. Next year, it'll be a year of, oh, I could do that. Yeah, I can see where I can fill that hole. And as we know, many of you have left or lost jobs or retired. I've been speaking to a lot of people here in Australia that have left their jobs, or they've been sacked because of the mandates and they didn't want to follow the protocols. And now they're asking, okay, if I'm not that person in that job, like teachers, I've seen so many teachers, what can I do if I can't go back into the education system in a mainstream way? How can I teach and continue being a teacher? So I'm seeing a lot of that. Teachers, and I've had meetings with people. I had a meeting of 40 people recently, and everyone was from all doctors, teachers, people working in Parliament, people working on the land, people with restaurants, shop owners, food, nutritionists, a couple of us psychics, 2 of us was like psychics and, intuitives, but just all walks of life that have, in Australia, this was an Australian group, didn't want to follow the mainstream mandates. And so we're in this position of, okay, if I'm not that, now who am I? So that will be revealed next year. You will answer the call to meet what needs to happen in our world. Many people I know, one of my girlfriend's daughters is helping homeschooling children, and because there are parents that don't want to take their children back to school because of the mandates. And so there's lots of homeschooling going on. And then now that's a call. So how do I facilitate this homeschooling? Who's going to, monitor the kids if I'm at work? And so there's lots of things that will be answered next year. All right. As you know, I can chat all day, so I won't talk anymore. Big love to all of you. Have I got any comments? It's only funny when it's over, not very funny living the trauma, she says. Yeah, that's true. It's not very funny at the time. I don't know what she was referring to just there, but love you all big time.